I stood at the gates of Blackwood Manor, staring up at the estate that had been in my family for 6 generations. The for sale sign seemed almost sacrilegious against the centuries-old stone and ivy. My phone buzzed, another frantic text from my sister Victoria. Please tell me you're not really doing this. The auction is private, you're not even supposed to be there. I smiled, thinking of that day 3 years ago when my father had gathered us in his study. The day he changed everything. The Blackwood Trust Fund, he'd announced, will be divided between Victoria and Charles. As for you, Alexandra. He'd looked at me with that familiar disappointment. The trust is only for worthy children who uphold the family legacy. My crime? Starting a tech company instead of joining the family investment firm. Choosing innovation over tradition. Being, as my mother loved to say, disappointingly modern. You'll regret this decision, I told them calmly. Hardly, Charles had smirked. What are you going to do? Code your way into high society. 3 years later I walked into the auction house, my net worth higher than the entire Blackwood Trust Fund. Turns out disrupting the financial technology industry pays better than managing old money. The auctioneer looked up in surprise as I registered. Miss Blackwood? I wasn't aware you'd be attending. Family privilege, I smiled, taking my paddle. Number 23, my lucky number. My presence caused quite a stir among the potential buyers. I caught snippets of whispered conversations. The disinherited daughter. Made billions in fintech. Blackwood Technologies founder. Victoria and Charles arrived minutes before the auction began. Their faces when they saw me were priceless. Alex, Victoria hissed, hurrying over. What are you doing here? This is embarrassing enough without. Without what? I asked innocently. Without the unworthy daughter showing up. You can't afford the estate, Charles cut in. Even with your company money. The trust fund is combining resources to keep it in the family. I just smiled, thinking of the numbers in my account. They had no idea what I could afford. The auctioneer called for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin with Blackwood Manor, the historic estate of the Blackwood family, including all grounds and contents. I raced my paddle before he could even state the opening bid. 20 million, I called out clearly. The room fell silent. Charles's face went pale. 25 million, he countered desperately. I didn't even hesitate. 30 million. Victoria grabbed Charles's arm. They whispered furiously, probably calculating the trust fund's limits. 35 million, Charles shouted, his voice cracking. I smiled. 50 million. The auctioneer's gavel hit like thunder in the silent room. Sold to paddle number 23. Ms. Alexandra Blackwood, the estate returns to the Blackwood name. As Charles and Victoria stood frozen in shock, I walked to the front to sign the papers. My phone buzzed, a message from my father. What have you done? I typed back a simple response. Proved my worth. Sometimes the best revenge isn't being worthy of their trust fund. It's becoming wealthy enough to buy everything they thought you didn't deserve. I pocketed my phone and picked up the keys to my new estate. The unworthy daughter was going home, and this time she owned it all. The movers were still unloading my things when my mother's Bentley pulled up to Blackwood Manor. She emerged looking like she'd aged a decade since I'd last seen her at the auction. You can't just move in here, she declared, storming up the steps. This estate has traditions, protocols. All of which I now own, I interrupted, not looking up from my laptop where I was finalizing plans for the estate's east wing renovation. Alexandra, her voice cracked. This home has been in our family for. And it still is, I smiled. Just under new management. My phone buzzed with another text from Victoria. The family portraits, the antiques. You can't just change everything. I looked around the grand foyer at the stern faces of Blackwood ancestors judging me from their gilded frames. Surely I can. And I will. Your father is beside himself, Mother continued. The humiliation of having his own daughter buy. The humiliation? I finally looked up. Like the humiliation of being cut off in front of the entire family? Of being called unworthy because I chose to build something instead of living off old money? Before she could respond, my assistant Rachel appeared. Ms. Blackwood, the tech team is here to begin the smart home installation. Mother looked horrified. Smart home? In Blackwood Manor. Welcome to the 21st century, Mother, I said, standing. The East Wing is becoming my company's new R&D center. The ballroom? Our main conference space. And that precious smoking room where Dad declared me unworthy? That's going to be our coding lab. You're turning this historic home into an office? Into the future, I corrected. Something this family never could understand. My phone lit up with breaking news. Blackwood Technologies announces new headquarters at historic Blackwood Manor. Stock surges 15%. Mother sank into an antique chair, looking defeated. What will people say? They're already saying it, I replied, showing her another headline. Tech billionaire modernizes family estate. A new era for old money. Charles and Victoria are devastated, she tried one last time. This estate was supposed to be their inheritance. Funny how inheritances work, I mused. Some people get trust funds. Others get the motivation to earn something better. As if on cue, a crew began carefully removing the portrait of my father from above the main staircase. In its place would go the new Blackwood Technologies logo, my redesign of the family crest, blending tradition with innovation. The annual Blackwood Christmas Ball, Mother suddenly remembered. It's been held here for over a century. Will still be held here, I assured her. With a few updates. Instead of just old money families, we'll be inviting tech innovators, entrepreneurs, people who build things rather than just inherit them. I could see her processing the implications, the social dynamics shifting, the power balance changing. The unworthy daughter now controlling the family's social calendar. Your father wants to meet, she finally said. To discuss terms. My terms are simple, I replied. The family can still use the estate for events, holidays, everything. But they'll do it knowing that the daughter they called unworthy now owns every brick, every painting, every piece of their precious legacy. Mother stood, smoothing her designer dress. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I looked around at my new home, at the crew's already beginning its transformation. Let's just say, revenge is best served in a fully modernized historic estate. As she left, I sent a group text to the family. First family dinner at the new Blackwood Manor this Sunday. Black tie optional. Wi-Fi password will be provided. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just buying their estate. It's making them watch as you turn their past into your future. Sunday evening arrived with a parade of luxury cars pulling up to Blackwood Manor. The family hadn't dared decline my dinner invitation. Curiosity and fear of social implications had won out over pride. I watched from my father's former study, now my modern home office, as they emerged. Charles and Victoria, my cousins, aunts, uncles, and finally my parents. All of them stepping into an estate they no longer controlled. Miss Blackwood, Rachel appeared at my door. The dining room is ready. I smiled, knowing what awaited them. The traditional dark wood dining table had been replaced with a stunning modern piece. The ancestral portraits were gone, replaced by digital displays showing Blackwood Technologies' global impact. Even the ancient chandelier had been swapped for a contemporary LED masterpiece. They're all in the drawing room, Rachel reported. Mr. Charles Blackwood tried to enter the East Wing but was stopped by security. Good, I nodded. Let them stew for a few minutes. I checked my phone. Our stock had hit another record high after announcing a major tech partnership. The family's trust fund, meanwhile, had taken a significant hit from losing the estate. Making my entrance, I found them clustered in groups, whispering and staring at the changes. Mother was practically in tears over the modern art where her beloved hunting scenes had hung. Welcome to the new Blackwood Manor, I announced. Father stepped forward, his face tight. Alexandra, we need to discuss this renovation. Actually, I smiled, I have something to show you first. I led them to the dining room. Gasps and murmurs erupted at the transformation. But it was the place cards that caused the real stir. Their seating arrangements told its own story. Instead of father at the head of the table, his place card was halfway down. Mother wasn't in her usual spot either. The head of the table bore my name with my top executives and board members in the prominent positions. You can't just change centuries of tradition, Charles protested. Actually, I can, I replied calmly. Just like you could change tradition when you excluded me from the trust fund. Victoria touched one of the digital displays. Our ancestors' portraits are safely stored, I assured her. Along with that sense of entitlement you all carried for generations. Dinner was served not by the traditional staff, but by a modern catering service. The wine was selected by an AI sommelier I'd developed. Even the menu was a fusion of old and new, traditional dishes reimagined with modern techniques. "I've been thinking," Father finally said halfway through the meal. "Perhaps we were hasty with the trust fund decision." "Really?" I raised an eyebrow. "And what brought about this change of heart? My net worth exceeding the entire trust fund? Or the fact that I now own your precious estate?" "Family should stick together," Mother added weakly. "Family should support each other," I corrected. "Should believe in each other's dreams. Should never call their child unworthy." I stood raising my glass. "To the new Blackwood legacy. Where worth isn't inherited, it's earned." After dinner I took them on a tour. The East Wing's transformation into a cutting-edge tech center was nearly complete. The old servants' quarters were becoming employee relaxation spaces. The stables would house our autonomous vehicle testing facility. "But where will we hold the debutante ball?" Mother asked, horrified. "In the new conference center," I replied. "Right after our annual innovation summit." "Times change, Mother. Either adapt or become irrelevant." As they left that evening, I handed each of them a gift, a piece of custom tech that wouldn't hit the market for months. "Consider it a reminder of what the unworthy daughter achieved." Father paused at the door. "You've made your point, Alexandra." "No," I smiled. "I've made my fortune. And with it, I bought the one thing your trust fund couldn't protect: your legacy." After they left, I stood in the foyer of my estate, surrounded by the perfect blend of history and innovation. My phone buzzed with a message from our board: "Another successful quarter, another step toward the future." Sometimes the best revenge isn't just buying their estate, it's transforming it into something they never imagined it could be. And making them watch from the sidelines as their precious traditions evolve without them. The unworthy daughter had done more than prove her worth. She'd redefined what worth meant to the Blackwood name. And that was worth more than any trust fund could ever offer.